Hey guys, so today we're going to look at a few more advanced async-await techniques. We're going to do two of those today. I'm going to show you about error handling and then about Promise.all.map and sort of a technique to sort of just make sure that your loops with async-await are working as you'd expect them to be. We're also going to do a bit of a small Koa server just so we can play with some Koa and serve out some requests. So we need a few things to get started. First and foremost, let's set up our async-await main function. So if you watched the last video or the basic about how to get started, it's basically we're going to just have an async function like this. Again, I like to call it main. And in order for that to work, we have to wrap it in parens, and then we have to call it as a self-invoking function, and then inside of here we need to have a try catch so that anything uncaught inside has out. We're going to say our error is E. Okay, so this is sort of our main code goes in here. Awesome. Just like last time, we need a few utilities. We're going to need request const request equals request require. I typed that anyway. Request, I can never spell that the first time. Request promise, and let's npm install. So npm I request, which we need, and then we need npm I request promise. Cool. Okay, so that's what we need there. Awesome. So our first example is going to be calling out to a local API. So let's model what that looks like. And our whole point behind showing you this is that I want to show you what it's look like if you don't handle errors in a promise.all loop. Okay, so let's just kind of sort of write out this loop. So actually, before we write out the loop, let's write out what one looks like. So we're going to make a request to an API that we haven't written yet, but it's going to be URL, and it's going to be http:// localhost 3000. Again, does not exist yet. We're going to write that in just a minute. We're going to let's do a post request, or whatever. Let's do a get request, and we're going to say yeah, that's it. We're going to do a straight get with nothing else there. Okay, so this is what our request is going to look like, and again, we can await this request, and obviously there you go. That's sort of a basic not loop, just the request example. Okay, and if we run this, nothing's going to happen except just a ton of undefined errors, which is fine because it's saying we don't have that endpoint, so probably shouldn't have even tested it yet. Let's make a new file in here. So let's see. Can I do that here? New file, server.js. Boom. All right, let's get rid of that. So this is going to be a small Koa server. The whole point is just to serve up some endpoints so we're not having to hit real websites. So we need to install Koa. So npm I Koa. Okay, there we go. We've installed Koa. So how does Koa work? Well, you need to say const Koa equals require Koa. There you go. And then we're going to say const app equals new Koa. And that makes a new Koa app. There we go. All we have to do next is just say so with Koa, everything's a package. So before I install a package that lets me do get and post, I'm going to show you what a raw Koa server looks like. So to do that, we're going to say app.use, and then it uses basically a function here. So I can say async function like this. I guess too many. And then we're just going to say ctx.body equals hello, right? That's sort of the hello world example. And then we have to do app.listen on a port 3000. Okay, so that's our server. So I'll just say, I'm going to open a new tab here and just say node server. So now our server is listening on hello. If we hit localhost 3000, we will get hello. So we can actually go ahead and open Chrome and say localhost 3000. And actually we get into, oh, right, of course, we have to pass CTX in, or else we can't use it. Let's restart the server, node server. And let's go back to the browser and refresh. And there you go. boom, hello. Okay, so this is the main basic use case of Koa, but this is not really useful in this way because this use function is middleware. It basically runs every time, no matter what's hitting it, and then you can do stuff on top of it. By just a default Koa installation, there's nothing that lets you do get and post, which you might think is crazy, but that's how it is. So we don't need this middleware. We do need to handle get and post. So to do that, we actually have to install, I'm going to cancel the server here. We actually have to install a few plugins for Koa. The one that lets you do get and post is called Koa Router. So we're just going to do npm koa-router. This is sort of the main thing that you need to install every time you finish doing a Koa installation. So we're going to say const router equals require Koa Router. Awesome. And then how you use the router is we need a new router. So const router equals new router. And then we have to tell Koa to use this router now. So we can say app.use, there's that use function again. And then we're just going to say router.routes. Okay, and routes is a function. So now any route we define will be used. So we don't have any routes defined. This is just the basic setup of Koa. So let's define one of the routes. Let's define a get. So we say router.get slash, and then this can run a function. In this case, I'll just write it without the params first, even though I forgot them last time. Right, so that runs that. These functions take ctx.next, same as a use function. We don't need next because we're making a simple API with just one point here. So it gets ctx, and then I can do the same thing as I did a minute ago where I can say ctx.body equals hello. Okay, so this is now a slightly more robust Koa server that has the ability to do get and post and different routes and all those different things. So if I save this and I run the server again, so node server, and I'll hit the web page again just like before, and it still says hello. Okay, so we didn't really change anything about this, but now this is more robust, and so we can now do post if we wanted to, or we could say, you know, /world now, and this will let me restart the server. Boom. This will now fail, but I can type in /world, and now it works. So now you actually have control over routes. Okay, so that's basic Koa setup. For our purposes, we are going to we're going to do a post, not a get, to slash. Okay. And actually, before we do that, before we get too far ahead, let's just leave this the way it is as a basic get server. Let me just restart the server, make sure. And let's go back to our file that we're working on now, and let's just see this work now. So localhost 3000 should be operating and operating on get like we said it was. And so if we go back to here and we run node index, excuse me, it finishes without an error, but we didn't actually say there's any result, so we can just say const res equals that, and then let's just say console.log res. Okay, so now we can actually see the result of that. Boom, there's our hello. Okay, so now we're actually communicating with our Koa server running locally. Great. Let us send some data to the Koa server now. So we're going to say method post instead, and we're going to say JSON true, because we're going to send JSON data. And then we're going to send data, which is an array, an object, not an array. And we're going to send it, correction, not data, it's body. Here you go, body. And we're going to send it a number. We're going to pass it a number. We're going to say number 5, okay? So number 5, we're going to pass it that. Let's see what happens to our server. It should fail. And it does. It says, well, it's not a nice error message, to be honest. It's a pretty ugly error message with the whole error. It's, you know, not pretty. So what we like to do with our error messages is say e.message, so we can see not the whole error object, but just the problem. So let's just say node index and see what we're getting. We get not found. Okay, not found error. Fine. So let's go back to our server now and allow for post. So we will do a post like this. Awesome. And then that should work now. Let's refresh our server. Boom. Rerun our server and come back here and rerun our thing, and we get hello. Okay, so now we're doing a post. Awesome. So how do we send data to our post route now? Again, this is Koa. It does not do that by default. You actually need something to parse a body input, so request.body. So for that, we're going to use a thing called Koa body parser. Again, more plugins. Awesome. So let's go back to the server, and we're going to say npm I Koa body parser, like that. And then again, we need to use it, so we're going to say const body parser equals require. Require, can never spell that word. Koa body parser. I don't know why you auto-completed with the wrong letter, but whatever. Okay, body parser, and then we actually have to use the body parser. So we actually have a second use parameter here, so I'm actually going to indent this a little bit. And our body parser has to come before our routes. So we're going to say .use and then body parser, and then parens like that. And so this is just chaining. I mean, this is the same exact thing as doing this, but that's ugly and that's pretty. So now we're able to take input, and that input is going to be ctx.request.body. That's what the input, the JSON input, will become. Okay, so I can say, like, we can say const JSON equals that, and then we'll just spit it back out. Okay, ctx.body equals JSON request. Right, there you go. So I will start our server again. So node server, and we will make this request and see what happens. And we get our JSON back as the number 5. Okay, there you go. So great. So we have our server set up. We want our server to do something, so we're gonna make it just return a random number so that our server is a little bit different every time. So we're just gonna, let's get rid of this for a second. So we're just gonna say, ctx.body equals, and let's just do ctx.request.body.number. We're gonna expect that number to be there. We're going to do times math.random, which is, again, this is sort of trivial, but the point is that it's going to be different every time we call it. And so if we restart the server again, that's not the server, server's over here. Clear, serve node, can't spell, can't type. Okay, great. And now we call this again, and we get a thing, okay? So what happens if I fail to pass it JSON, even though I said JSON true? Okay, so now we're going to get into error handling a little bit. So if I set this to 5, okay, and I run this, I get bad request. The server actually said error invalid JSON only supports object and array. That would be a nice error message to get, wouldn't it? All I'm getting is bad request. Why is that? Well, on our server, we're not doing anything with the errors. We're not handling errors at all here. And so the only thing that can come back is generic bad request. So we want to do, the last thing we want to do with our server is that we want to actually handle errors. So in Koa, we're going to do that in a kind of a cool way. We're going to make an error middleware. Again, the middleware is the use functions that get run every time. So we're going to make an error handle middleware. So I'm going to say const error middleware equals an async function, and it takes ctx.next just like every other middleware function we've been writing. And then because this is async-await, I actually can do a pretty cool trick here. I can put a try catch around calling the next function. So how does this work? So this next function moves to the next piece of the use function. Okay, so I'm actually going to say .use down here, and I'm going to pass it the middleware function that I did. You have to pass a function. Don't let this body parser with a function fool you. You're supposed to pass functions like this. Body parser is just weird. I'm sorry. But error middleware is going to run. It's in a try catch. So if any error anywhere else down the chain throws, if anyone happens down the chain, this gets caught in the try catch, and now I have access to the error object itself. So I can say ctx.status equals, and I'll just say error.status, and then I can say, which you don't really have to do, but this is going to be a better, more accurate error message, so like 500 or 502 or something. And then I can say ctx.body equals, and I'm using error. Let's just use error. Okay. Error.message. So now I'm actually going to be responding back to the client with the message text that actually happened. Okay, so that's error middleware. It's kind of cool. I think this exact thing is documented over on Koa's website, so I think they want you to do it this way. But having the error middleware means I don't have to try catch here because I'm using middleware, so that's kind of nice. So we're going to register the middleware, then we're going to parse body. So if there's a problem here, this will catch it. And I'm going to register the routes, and if there's a problem here, this will catch it again. Okay, so I'll save that. Let's go to the server, and we'll say clear, and then node server, unexpected token, parenthesis, somewhere. All right, so this error middleware is a function. It doesn't need this extra brace, so that was my error. We will clear, and then we will say node server. Okay, server is running, and then we will go back to here, and we'll run this again. Okay, same thing. This time, it gets a 400 error, and it says invalid JSON only supports object and array. So now our server is nicely responding with error messages that we can read back to our client when there's a problem, which for the next couple things I'm going to show you, super important that our server responds with good error messages. So we've thrown an improper thing because this is supposed to be JSON and that's not JSON, and so there we go. Okay, so now our server is set up. We're also going to do, well, I'll do that in a minute. Okay, so let's finish writing our app here with this example. So we have one request here that's bad. Let's make a request that's good. So I'll just make another one. I'll call this bad promise, and because these are async functions return promises, and this request promise library returns promises. So that's what I'm calling promise. So this is bad because it returns an error. This is going to be a good promise, and because it's going to be correct. So I'll pass it number as expected. There you go. So we have these two. I want to run these two in parallel. So obviously writing them this way isn't going to work, but we have our technique that we learned last time, which is like const all of them equals await promise dot all, and we're going to pass it an array of these guys. So these are just these promises. So that's one promise, and that's the second promise. So one promise, two promise, three promise, four. Okay, let's get rid of these because it's stupid. Great, awesome. So here we go. We have an array of two promises that you would expect that you want to run both of, and you're awaiting the whole thing. So you're thinking, okay, console.log, all done, right? You think you're going to get here, right? Well, I'll tell you right now, we're not actually going to get down here because one of these is going to throw an error, and I'll explain in 1 second why this is going to go, but let's show you first. Let's run this. So clear node index. There you go. Oh, I have a bracket problem. Missing parenthesis after argument list. Let's see. Yes, this is a function, and that is a function. Save that. Clear. Let's run it again. Okay, so all we got was their error and nothing else. We didn't even get here. How did that happen? This is the crux of doing error handling with promises and async things. The problem is that since one of the things in here errored, not that one actually, this one, since one of them errored, that kills the entire thing. An unhandled error kills the entire promise.all. And so we're not, this whole thing threw the error, and this whole thing is in a try catch, and so we got down here instead. We didn't get here because this whole business threw an error. So the key here that we need to do now is we need to make it so that this always completes with 100% accuracy, as in it can never fail. This promise.all needs to always complete and no error can be thrown from inside of it. Okay? So how do you handle that? Is you have to handle each error as the pieces. So I need to handle what happens if this particular one throws an error. I have to handle if this throws an error. And I have to return a positive result, even if that positive result is an error message, so that the whole loop can finish. Again, this is if you're going to use this technique to loop over all these different things. Okay, so let's dive into that and talk about what that means. So I'm going to get rid of this because this doesn't work. This is not a good way to handle this. This is a gotcha if you're trying to use promise.all and you have promises in here. You're going to have a bad time. Okay, so what we want to do now is I want to form this dynamically. I don't want to show you what it's like to handle this individually because that's not the real world. So I need some sort of large array to deal with. So, and I want a lot of async-await stuff. So what we're actually going to do is we're actually make a new file over here called numbers.json. And I'm just going to put a bunch of numbers here like this. You know, there you go. And that's a JSON file. And I'm going to bring in a new library called fs equals require fs extra, which is the node file system with a bunch of stuff, and it all returns promises, which is great for async-await, which is fantastic. So I'm just going to npm I fs extra real quick. I just need that to make this work. Great, clear. Okay, so now I have that. I'm going to get the number, so I'm going to say const numbers raw equals fs.read file, and actually I need to await that. fs.read file. I'm going to say numbers.json. If I leave it like this, it's going to return a buffer. I'd rather have the UTF-8 version of the text, so I'm actually going to say UTF-8. Okay, and so let's just log before we get too far ahead. All right, log numbers raw. Okay, let's stop here. Let's test it out. Nope, that's installing it again. There we go. Okay, there's our numbers. Fantastic. This is raw text. It's not JSON yet. So let's just say const numbers JSON equals json.parse numbers raw. So console.log numbers JSON. Okay, let's test again. It's really, really important to incrementally test. Unexpected token semicolon JSON at position 37. Oh, yeah, I guess I don't need one. Cool. So this is a real array now, not not simply a string. And I can prove that by saying .length, and I can run this again, and you can see, boom, 9 things. Fantastic. Okay, so we have one async-await thing going on. So now let's say const results equals, again, promise. So now what we want to do, I'll just paint the picture real quick. We want to loop over all of these numbers and pass them in to our little Koa server that we made and get new random numbers out of it. Okay, so now we're basically batching a bunch of asynchronous calls that can't fail. Okay, we don't want them to fail. So in a minute, we'll build in failure to show what that looks like. But so promise.all, and then we want to pass in numbers json.map. Okay, and we're going to map this to an async function. Pass in number like that. Boom. Is this too many? That's a lot. Async. I don't want this space there. I don't like it. Boom, boom. Okay, cool. So this is a common structure that you'll see. And let me actually finish my common structure before I say that. Try catch. Okay. So this is a new format you haven't seen before, but it's Promise.all.map, and every function is an async function. So this is similar to the thing you just saw, where each thing was a promise. Async functions return promises. This is the same thing. It's just an array, except in this case, I have a try catch now for each individual one. This is something we didn't have in our previous example when we were just calling request, which means if any of them throw an error, it will be caught. Okay, that's the important thing. So let's make the API call, and we can say, you know, await request, and then, you know, should I just copy and paste it? But whatever. URL http colon localhost colon 3000. This method post, and then JSON true, and then body in this case will be the number. And because this is ES6, I don't have to write this. I can just say number. Okay, so that's our request. And we basically need to we basically need to return something. And so we're going to say, you know, const res equals that, and we're going to return this. Remember, this is going to give us a random number, so we're just going to return res, just return the random number. But we're in this catch here, so if an error occurs, we're okay. Let's just return e.message so that if there's an error, we can see it. Okay, so let's go ahead and save this now. We have a loop. The loop is in a try catch. If there's an error, it'll be caught. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and just return this thing. Let's see what that looks like. It looks like nothing because I'm not logging it. So let's say after this whole business, we can say console.log done, and there's results. So now we're actually after it. And there we go, done. Results is a promise pending, and that's because I did not await the whole business like I was supposed to. So again, this await belongs to this async. So this is in our main. So let's clear. There we go. So this is our whole thing. But that's not really the challenge. This was easy. The challenge is what happens if it throws an error. So let's build an error into our API server to mimic sort of the real world here. So in our numbers, I'm going to make one of these a string. I'm going to say, you know, not a real number. Okay. And then in the server, I'm actually going to check for this. I'm going to say if is not a number, ctx.request.body.number, right? If it's not a number, we're going to say ctx.throw, you need to pass a number. Okay, so this is how we throw error messages. We're going to do a quick check to say you need to be a number in order to use my server, right? So boom, let's restart the server. There we go. And now we come back here. Let's clear this. Let's run it again, knowing that one of the numbers is actually a string. Okay, and I'm going to run that. And there we go. You can see that it's still completed, thank goodness. And one of them is the error. Okay, now again, if we didn't have the try catch, and I can show you this too, if it doesn't have the try catch, we'll never get out of this loop. Okay, so let's take a look at that. So let's not have the try catch for a second. Again, this is the gotcha. Let's not have it, as if, hey, we don't need it. Forget it. Forget about it. We're just going to return this business, right? Let's clear. If I run it again, you can see, same thing as before, we get an error message because this whole thing threw an error, and therefore this is the catch that we're getting to, since this particular call was not handled. So, recap, you want a try catch inside of a map over async function, and that way it will always complete. You're guaranteed this will complete, and you can handle your error as needed inside. You can return error objects if you want. You can do whatever you like here, but the point is that you now have a way to have whatever complex async logic you want inside of here, really inside of here I should say, but you're guaranteed that this loop will finish. So you'll be able to execute all of these all at once to a server with confidence that you will be able to get after it. This is one of the most important gotchas of using loops with async functions.